Welcome to Dodgers Dogs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network. Casey Porter here on a Sunday where the Dodgers, they got absolutely thumped. And hey, my good man, Justin Wrobleski, he took it on the chin. This is a Dodgers team and specifically a pitching staff that is exhausted. It's a Dodgers team that has done a great job of rebuilding the lead. So yes, Justin Wrobleski, he's in a Dodgers uniform, and yes, anytime you're in a Dodgers uniform, you're expected to go out there and the Dodgers expect you to be great. And they when they called up Justin Wrobleski, they didn't do it like as a, hey, come do us a favor. They did it because they believe in the fact that Justin Wrobleski will come up with LA into the desert and do a great job and beat Arizona. Everybody who was associated with it when they called up Justin Wrobleski, that's how they felt about the call-up. That's how Justin felt about it. It just simply didn't happen. It was a day-to-day that, quite frankly, the Dodgers just they got down 8-0, and you're going to maybe some people would say, I think Dodgers fans, especially the ones here on Dodgers Dogs, are definitely smart enough to make the summation that once you get down 8-0, when you give up an 8 spot in the bottom of the second, yeah, it's not impossible to come back and all that, but it takes away your aggressiveness as an offense. It takes away a lot of just kind of your starch, and it makes it much more difficult to play offense when you get down in an 8-0 hole. So, hey, no excuses. I think everybody that's watching or has watched Dodgers Dogs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network or knows anything about me, you know that Justin Wrobleski went to Oklahoma State. He is dear to my heart. He went to Oklahoma State, and he's just a great dude. And he is a really talented young man that, let me tell you the backstory of Justin Wrobleski. Tough day. He will bounce back, and he is very talented, and he will be a very, very good Major League pitcher. I will make this statement. I could be wrong, and if Justin is watching this, I hope this doesn't come off as negative in any way towards him. I will say this. I do think today's outing, kind of right now, the Dodgers are an audition stage for the postseason. Who are going to be the most high-leverage starters, especially if Yamamoto and Glasnow don't get back? There is a big-time competition. Walker Buehler, Bobby Miller. I think Flaherty obviously is set in stone, no doubt about that. Gavin Stone, Buehler, Bobby Miller, maybe a Ben Casparius, maybe Justin Wrobleski if he would have came out and dealt today. So if you had a 3-game series or a 5-game series, who your starter is going to be? So I think there's a big-time audition and happening for the Dodgers right now. I would say that today's game, most likely, the only ramifications to it would be that I think probably Justin Wrobleski is out of that equation in terms of, is he a possibility to be a playoff starter? We'll see. I mean, that's not a guaranteed fact at any stretch of the imagination, but I think what I'm trying to say is I think that's the worst case ramifications about the outing today for him. Nothing beyond that. This will not shake the Dodgers' confidence in him. This will not shake his confidence in himself. He will be really pissed at himself. He'll be pissed at what happened. It will make him sick to his stomach. And hey, a good friend of mine, Eddie Daves, who played professional baseball for a long, long time and made it all the way up to AAA and with the Cardinals and almost, just several different times. Matter of fact, he's a first-round draft pick. He says all the time, you got to turn frustration and anger into motivation. And there is nobody more disciplined and nobody better at turning frustration into motivation. And let me kind of explain what I'm saying about Justin Wrobleski as I tell this story. So he's kind of from a smaller town, about an hour north of Atlanta, and he's not from one of the perennial, hey, we have all these all-star travel ball teams that win perennially state titles and produce Division I players. He wasn't from like tiny dinky like some of the towns in Oklahoma. Like Jordy Mercer is from a town that doesn't even have athletics anymore because it was so small. It was Class B when he was there, and now the sports at Tologa, Oklahoma don't even exist anymore. So he wasn't for like a dinky small town like that. but he wasn't from, like one of those metro powers like you would think. And so from that aspect, he was somewhat of an underdog. The first story I wrote on him was an underdog you need to know. And so he gets recruited, he goes to Clemson, and he gets hit by a bus, and he gets hurt, and then he recovers from that, and then he gets into the weekend rotation, and then eventually things don't work out. He starts pitching a little bit of relief, and then things don't work out, and he goes JUCO in Florida. So he goes down to Florida, and he goes to JUCO, and then he breaks his jaw, and this is like COVID type period, and he loses a bunch of weight because he can't eat, and then all of a sudden his velo's down like into the mid 80s, and then at that point, I don't think Wrobleski doesn't have that dog in him yet, says Cobra Commander. Yeah, didn't today. He does have a lot of dog in him. Sometimes that happens. It wasn't in him today. But anyways, to continue the story, breaks his jaw. Velo gets down to about 85 miles an hour, but Oklahoma State still recruits him. He comes to Oklahoma State. He gains all of his weight back. He starts throwing the ball a lot harder. And then early in 2021, he throws a whole bunch of innings. His elbow tightens up. Next thing you know, through his junior year of college, Tommy John. So he has the Tommy John surgery, and that ends 2021, all of 2022. Comes back at the beginning of last year, and at the beginning of the year in Great Lakes, has some really good moments, has some moments that are like, oh, we're close, but we're not quite there, and then has some moments that aren't quite as good. And then I just kept telling Austin, I kept telling everybody involved, this dude's a battler, he's a gamer, and as Cobra Commander mentioned, this dude is a dog. You'll see it in him eventually, and I think you've seen bits and pieces of that at the major league level to this point. And so just wait, and then all of a sudden things got put together, and then this year he pitched so well that he actually made his major league debut. So you have to remember, starting last year, Justin Wrobleski had not thrown very much at all because, again, he got run into by a car at Clemson, broke his jaw in JUCO. Add into all of that, you also had a year of COVID that canceled an entire season. Not the entire season, but he probably had maybe one or two starts in 2020. And then in 2021, he got to pitch some at OSU, then had the Tommy John. So basically, since high school, he hadn't pitched a whole lot until the beginning of last year. And so it's just a little bit over a year out in professional ball that he's already making his major league debut. I say all that to say it has gone very fast for Justin Wrobleski. Times like this, I don't want to say are predictable because you hate to predict failures and lack of success for somebody that you really enjoy watching pitch and that you believe in as much as I do. But I can't say it's overly surprising that there's going to be some rather large ups and downs for Wrobleski because he's still really trying to make his way back from all of the adversity he's had to deal with. So I say all that backstory not to make any excuses. It happened. It's 10 runs. It is what it is. It probably ended his year in terms of being considered for any kind of playoff roster, that kind of thing. Not making any of those excuses. The only reason I tell that story is just so maybe if you're watching this, you'll realize that Justin Wrobleski will bounce back, and there will be a time if he continues to get opportunity that he will become a really good pitcher at the major league level. There is no doubt in my mind. So those are my initial thoughts. And hey, if you are watching this and you know anybody, I know it's Labor Day weekend and the Dodgers did not have a good day today, but they have been playing absolutely fantastically as of late. And as a matter of fact, even in a big loss today, there have been a ton of positives. The way the Dodgers have been playing offense overall. How about that wonderful game last night? Tommy Edman has been absolutely on fire. He had the great play Saturday night last night in the 7th inning, and then the 2 hits, including the game winner with 2 outs in the top of the 9th. And how about Tommy Edman? He is 9 for his last 25. So in his last 25 at bats, he's hitting .360, and we know that he plays really good defense. So there's way, way, way more positives right now than there are to sit here and dwell on today's game. How about Gavin Lux? Gavin Lux was on base 3 times again today. Gavin Lux is hitting .303 in his last 30 games. More importantly to me, though, Gavin Lux in his last 30 games has a on-base percentage that is approaching .400. I have said, I don't know how many times, I don't care what Gavin Lux's batting average is, if he's getting on base at about a .370 clip, I'm good with that. As long as he's playing good defense. He's doing more than that. He's getting on base. Of course, a lot of times on-base percentage is directly related to your batting average because the more hits you get, the more you get on base. No doubt about that. Super positive with Gavin Lux, no doubt about that. Austin Barnes. Here's a question for you. Of course, Will Smith had the big home run the other night, and Will Smith has played a lot better offense. And, it wasn't too long ago where we were talking about Will Smith being an all-star and being the best catcher in baseball. So let's not make a bigger deal out of it than it is, and don't take my words out of context here as far as what I'm saying. But if Austin Barnes, he had 3 hits today, Austin Barnes hitting .310 in the last 30 games, is there ever a scenario to where, not where Austin Barnes would ever become the primary catcher, don't get me wrong, but is there a scenario to where you think about giving Austin Barnes maybe a game or 2 more than you would have in the playoffs if he keeps hitting like he has been? Again, Barnes is hitting .310 in his last 30 games. So those are some really, really good positives in terms of, and then Brent Honeywell pitched very well. And then the biggest positive, the absolute biggest positive, and let me go ahead and get to him right here and click that over so you can actually see him in action. To me, this is the biggest positive in a long, long time. Let me tell another story about Ben Casparius. Young man out of Connecticut, went to North Carolina. He was, like River Ryan, just an awesome athlete. And at North Carolina, he was a two-way player. Always was a great athlete. You can see that athletic ability right there. And then somewhere along the way, had a great arm. But 2019, I'll tell the story here because I was actually at the regional. Here's Ben Casparius, a little bit more of him. In Oklahoma City, Oklahoma State hosted the University of Connecticut. And they had like 4 or 5 Major League Baseball players on that team. That was a really good Connecticut team. Coach Penders really had that team. They were scrappy. They were fun to watch. And when I first talked to Ben, I said, hey, did that 2019 team have anything to do with you going back to UConn? He said, absolutely. I loved watching that team, and I wanted to be a part of UConn baseball after I saw them play. So Ben Casparius goes to North Carolina, which has insane talent, and he's a two-way player, great athlete, shortstop type guy. And as Ben will tell you, he was pretty good with the stick. Ben Casparius could hit pretty good. But when he gets back to Connecticut, he converts to being a pitcher only. So here you have this guy with, 94, 95, but just with insanely high metrics in his off-speed stuff, but not really a go-to mix, if you will, like no go-to sequences. It's just kind of like, hey, we're going to throw this here, we're going to throw that there. And he's very, very studious. He's very analytical. And so like the sequencing and the mixes, they change and they change and they change. Then he gets drafted by the Dodgers. He goes to Rancho, and he's the pitcher of the week. With his last couple of performances at Rancho, gets moved up to Great Lakes. And from then on, it's been adjustment after adjustment after adjustment to get his sequencing and his mix to match what he does best and what he can do over and over and over. And because of that, along the way, Ben Casparius has went from a guy that throws probably sitting 93. Now he's sitting 95, and every once in a while touching upwards to 98 and sometimes 99 miles an hour. So I say all that to say I have had one hell of a great time watching the journey of Ben Casparius. It was kind of like watching the Gus Varland journey, maybe the Nick Robertson journey. A guy that just, a month ago, Ben Casparius was sitting in the dugout, and he'd probably kill me if you knew I was saying this, but in Oklahoma City, and it was kind of devastating because earlier in the year he was throwing well, and there's a good chance before he actually got hurt that he would have made his major league debut like back in June. But then he gets hurt and he doesn't get to make his major league debut. And now here you are sitting in his July and you're like, man, did I miss my chance? There's so much talent in this organization. And as he'll say, it's a blessing and a curse to be a prospect in the Dodgers organization because you get the best of everything. You get the best nutrition. You get the best of hotels. You get the best treatment as a prospect. But then you also have the most competition of any other organization in terms of actually being moved up to the major leagues. So you're sitting there and you're feeling like, did I miss my shot by getting hurt at the wrong time? And so you have to deal with that, and all you can do is just control what you can control. He did that. He kept pitching well, and lo and behold, Ben Casparius made his major league debut yesterday, and making his major league debut, he also got his first major league win by coming in the eighth inning and absolutely doing just a great job. The moment was not too big for him. He absolutely handled the situation perfectly. He threw the sequencing and the mixing that he could handle in that moment, and he did just a wonderful job. So, yeah, today, Robo, it was a tough blow, yes, but I'm still on cloud nine about Ben Casparius, by the way, getting his first win and in his debut. But, I mean, more importantly, putting the Dodgers in a situation to win a huge game. I mean, the Dodgers came into this weekend not really, they were playing well, but it was like, so was Arizona, so was the Padres, and it was like, I know Dodgers fans, of course, Dodgers fans can get kind of dramatic every time they lose, but it's like, man, we're not going to win the NL West. I mean, I heard that so many different times. I had that message and comments so many different times, and it's like, okay, well, that performance, winning the second game in a row against Arizona, really spread things out, and as a matter of fact, it gave the Dodgers a 6-game lead, which is back up to that where the 6-game lead. 6 games is kind of back in that territory to where the Dodgers can think a little bit more big picture. I've said many times, I do think that the Dodgers getting pushed will be a good thing because they have to make decisions and play with a sense of urgency, and we have seen that. But I do think there's some give and take. I do think some big picture time would be good for this club. And I say that because I think they need time to rest some guys and to be able to map out scheduling that would best set up for the playoffs. So I do think there is some give and take to that. But what a game it was yesterday. Talking about another one of my guys that I'm very close with in terms of my emotions towards them, Gavin Stone. I've had a chance to talk to him several different times. What an awesome young man, and super proud of him. I'll tell you what, and I'm going to say this point blank, and again, if he's watching this, he might disagree with this, and it might piss him off. I hope it doesn't. And that's certainly not my intent. But Gavin Stone gave up the 4 runs. Very proud of him that he went 5 innings. He went 4 innings after that, 5 innings total. Only gave up 1 more run after that in the Lourdes Gurriel home run, which it happens, and because he got behind the count. And when Gavin Stone's throwing about 94, he got behind the count to Gurriel 2-0. When he does that, he served up a fastball in the inner half. He's going to get hit. He can't get behind the count. His fastball is not good enough to do that. Okay, so Gavin Stone, I wanted to kind of go through this if I can get down to some of what happened here. And if I don't, I'll just kind of go through it as far as what I remember right here. Give me 1 second here. Let me look this up on my notes because I had this down in terms of I really felt like Gavin Stone is tipping pitches. Okay, so here it is. The hits in the first inning, check this out. The Diamondbacks got a hit on a changeup. They got a hit on a sinker. They got a hit on a 4-seam, and they got a hit on a slider. One was on a fastball in a pitcher's count, meaning you should have been expecting an off-speed pitch, and another was on an off-speed pitch that was a first pitch ambush. So I just think there's something. I said this 2 outings ago, and I actually messaged Gavin this. Obviously, I didn't get a response. But it just seems like the other team was taking too good of a pitch. And in a couple, about 3 or 4 games ago, it was like the team was taking pitches like two-seam fastballs, sinkers that were turning right, changeups that were turning right, that were starting in the inner half, and they were breaking to like 3 inches off the plate, and they were taking them for balls. And it was like, there's no way even a major league hitter could take that pitch unless they knew it was coming. To me, it was just there were just red flags that he was tipping pitches. Whenever you give up pitches on hits on 4 different pitch types, and they're in different scenarios to where it's not like, hey, you're getting behind and they're expecting this, or you're ahead and they're expecting that. It's like unpredictable type counts, and they're still hitting those pitches. There's something, alarm bell going off there as far as pitch tipping. I could be totally wrong. That is conspiracy on my part. That's not coming from any inside information. I don't have any video evidence to break down and say, see, here you go. There's where he's tipped. I don't have any of that. I'm just saying I know Gavin Stone, and just looking at patterns, that's just really the way it looked to me. So, but I'll say this. I was super proud of him for buckling down and going the entire 5 innings. It was good to see Evan Phillips get the last 3 outs of the 9th inning. I still can't believe that Dodgers fans don't trust him to get the last 3 outs of a 9th. Some Dodgers fans of the 9th inning, because he has been the best 9th inning pitcher on the Dodgers team. It was a super fun game. I mean, it was like a playoff game because the Dodgers scored, the D-backs answered back, the Dodgers answered the D-backs, and then eventually the D-backs answered the Dodgers. And then, like great baseball games, it kind of settled in the middle. You had the one home run to Gurriel, but then you had the fireworks late. And kudos to Will Smith for getting the 9th inning started with the leadoff base hit. And then how about Tommy Edman, who came up huge? That was an absolutely huge hit by Tommy Edman in the 9th inning of yesterday's game. Yesterday's game was a playoff-type game. It was absolutely big time, and it was super fun. But what it did, it just kind of crop dusted the Dodgers, meaning it was like, they had nothing. They had to go back down into their well, and they had to hope some young guys, like they did with Ben Casparius like yesterday, and Brent Honeywell's not a young guy, but not one of their dudes per se, although he's been very, very good. They just kind of had to hope that some guys that aren't necessarily in their plan A would bail them out, and it didn't happen today. But that happens. This is baseball. The Dodgers still have won 2 out of 3 from the Diamondbacks. So even the lump you took today was worth it because you fired so many bullets to win the first 2 games. I'll make this statement, even if you lose tomorrow, which nobody wants to do, and then the league goes down to 4 games, I still think firing all your bullets in the first 2 games, leaving yourself vulnerable to lose the last 2 games, I think that's fine. I think leaving Arizona with a 4-game lead, having split on the road, I think that's fine. Obviously, that's not the goal. If you can recoup and recover and win tomorrow night, then I think you've put a death nail in the NL West. I think just from a numerical perspective, the 6-game lead would be huge over the D-backs. Don't know what the Padres would do. But then from a mental perspective, to go into Arizona and win 3 out of 4, as kind of crazy as things are with the Dodgers right now, you got to be thinking, if you're Arizona, what the hell is going to happen when they get Glasnow and Yamamoto back and things aren't as crazy, right? So I think tomorrow's a big game, but I think it's not. Let's not overreact if things don't go perfectly. Let's hope they do, but if they don't, I certainly will not overreact from there. So how about yesterday, the fireworks? I'm not sure I've ever seen back-to-back-to-back home runs in a first inning. I don't think I've ever seen that. They say you see something new in baseball every day. Not sure I've ever seen back-to-back-to-back home runs in the first inning of a game ever. And I know I've never seen it by 3 Hall of Famers. Nobody will ever be able to convince me that Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, and Shohei Ohtani won't all 3 be Hall of Famers. So I don't think I've ever seen back-to-back-to-back in the first inning, and I know I've never seen back-to-back-to-back by 3 Hall of Famers in a row, and I darn sure know I've never seen back-to-back-to-back in the first inning by 3 Hall of Famers in a row. That was awesome. And then to give the Dodgers the momentum to start the game, we've talked all ad nauseum how good the Dodgers are, every team really, but the Dodgers especially, when they get the lead. So those back-to-back-to-back home runs were a lot of fun, but then, the back and forth was fun to me. The Dodgers need that. The Dodgers need to be pushed like that. And I'll tell you what, hey, I know he's on the D-backs team, but I'm a baseball fan. I root for good baseball, and I don't root for any individual to fail. I don't care what team they're on. So I'll tell you what, I'm happy for Corbin Carroll that he's figured things out. I didn't think Kevin Kiermaier, I like the fact that Kevin Kiermaier is very aggressive. We saw him almost rob a home run the other day. When you have Corbin Carroll running that has the speed that he has, and then you've just scored 3 runs, I think it's probably better just to turn around and play the thing off the wall and let Carroll have a double, and at the very least just try to hold him to the 1 run. Kiermaier got aggressive with it, didn't catch it, and you had the inside the park home run. So I'll say this about Corbin Carroll, very, very, very big-time struggles to start the season off of a just fantastic rookie season last year, which, hey, it happens. It happens quite a bit. It happens to James Outman. And matter of fact, whenever I think of Corbin Carroll, James Outman is the first person that I think of because they had basically the exact same type of struggles. But I'll tell you this, Corbin Carroll is the perfect example of when you have a really talented young player and you believe in them and you give them the proper amount of runway to work through all of their issues, what they can give you, how they can reward you on the other side of that. And Corbin Carroll has certainly done that for the D-backs. So after struggling mightily for most of the year, Corbin Carroll is now hitting .370 in his last 7 games. He's hitting .310 in his last 15, and he's hitting .288 in his last 30. So I don't necessarily say that for James Outman's not coming back up this year. That's not what I'm saying. But I am saying don't write him off for any of the future plans, because if you give these very talented young players the runway they need to struggle and get through the struggles, that's exactly what can happen as far as young players rewarding you for sticking with them. I'll tell you another thing that's kind of going kind of under the radar is you had the inside the park home run by Corbin Carroll. That was not fun as a Dodgers fan, but inside the park home runs as a baseball player, fun, right? And then you had the back-to-back-to-back, which was really cool. And then you had the 2-out base hit by Tommy Edman, which was really dramatic. I'll tell you the part of last night's game that got really overlooked was the catch in the 7th inning by Mookie Betts. Now, I mean, it wasn't like he was just laid out, but I've seen a lot of right fielders miss that catch in the major league level. And if Mookie Betts doesn't catch that ball in right field off of Corbin Carroll's bat, that's probably a triple, and likely the Diamondbacks score again. And if they take the lead there, I'm not exactly sure the Dodgers win that game. So I think that catch by Mookie Betts is getting overlooked quite a bit. But, hey, I have not even touched the crowd here. I had a lot to say. And, it's one of those deals to where one of those days that Mama just said there would be days like today, and there have been. And so, hey, you deal with them and you move on and you try to do better the next day, right? Okay, so we have a great crowd logging in. Noah Ortega, Daniel Berry Sports Highlight, Cobra Commander Cole, Norm Lee, Craig Osterberg, thank you so much for joining tonight in our great lobby. NorCal Eddie, thank you so much for joining. So Noah Ortega, thanks for the show, Casey. That game was a grind. The bullpen caught a break. So it's props to Wrobleski for eating innings. This is why Dodgers Dawgs is part of the Dodgers Daily Network. Certainly not the biggest crowd out there, no doubt about that. And we need tonight's crowd to get a little bit bigger. So I know it's Labor Day weekend, that's kind of tough, and it wasn't a good day for the Dodgers. But if you have some friends that are available, call them or text them or Snapchat them or whatever it is, however it is you communicate with people, and get them on over here into the lobby of Dodgers Dawgs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network. We're going to go here for a while until we are out of things to say here on Dodgers Dawgs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network. So thanks for the show. That game was a grind. The bullpen caught a break. props to Wrobleski for going 5. That's why Dodgers Dawgs is so great. We have the best fans out there. That is an A-game take, Noah Ortega. That is absolutely elite. Well done, Noah. I could not agree anymore. Cobra Commander, we mentioned earlier, said, I don't think Wrobleski's ready. Doesn't have that dog in him yet. I would disagree that he doesn't have the dog in him yet. I would agree that he's not ready, and I would agree that his year is probably over in terms of being considered for playoff contention. I don't mean that to be negative, and I certainly could be wrong because there absolutely is zero inside information to that, and I would be super excited if he did get the ball in the playoffs. Hey, Cole said these games will happen. It's not like Robo gave up 4 home runs in the same inning of a playoff game. Yeah. Okay, normally it was a surrender game to preserve arms. Not unexpected. Now, see, this is why you guys are so great, man. Instead of hopping on here and just talking about how bad so-and-so sucks and how terrible this is and overreacting and doing all that crap, we're getting this. We're getting great conversation about the Dodgers, and we're getting just rational talk about, hey, this game's over, so what do we do moving forward? And what we did moving forward is, as Norm's talking about, we preserved arms. Norm, A-game stuff right there. Great job, bub. Craig Osterberg, good evening to yourself. We will make the Snakes pay tomorrow, says Cobra Commander. Let's hope we do that. Normally, I would now expect that Wrobleski will be designated and Knack will be called up. That could very well be the case. Not always because of the 10 runs. The Dodgers don't necessarily make decisions always on results like that, but more so just because they need a fresh arm. So if they feel like they need a fresh arm before Robo can pitch next, that would mean that probably Knack would get called up in that perspective. So Cole Casey, I guess my question is, do you value Barnes' bat over Smith's increased ability to throw out runners? No, I don't. I just kind of was bringing up that I don't think Austin Barnes is better off. I mean, Will Smith can get hot at any time, and once he gets hot, he's way better than Austin Barnes offensively because he hits home runs. And Austin Barnes, he's had a good 30 games. He's had a good year, but still you're kind of in that, do you expect that to continue type thing? So no, I don't prioritize Austin Barnes over Will Smith in any way, shape, or form. I'm just kind of asking the question as to, does anybody else? Are there any Dodgers fans out there that might? Do you think the front office might do that? I think that's just kind of an interesting question to ask there. Normally, if Yamamoto, Glasnow, and Gratterall return by mid-September and are healthy, this team has enough to get to the NLCS. What happens after that depends on offensive consistency and the bullpen. Boy, Norm, you are bringing your A game today. No doubt about it. But I would say if Yamamoto, Glasnow, and Gratterall are healthy and pitching the way that they're capable, the Dodgers have the best roster in baseball. And quite honestly, I don't think it's close. So at that point, I think it's just a matter of the Dodgers just not playing bad. I think if they just play good and they're gritty like they have been in the last month or so, and they just don't go through one of those just real bad patches, I think they have the best roster and they would be favored over everybody they play. So I think that's a very A-game type comment, but I think that's a little bit underrating just how good the Dodgers roster is. Remember, you have 3 Hall of Famers in a row that went back to back to back yesterday. Will Smith can get hot at any moment. Max Muncy's one of our best RBI producers in the game. Teo Hernandez has had the clutch gene. He's had a really good year. And Tommy Edman, Gavin Lux, and all these guys are hitting the ball right now. So, yeah, good comment there. Normally, opponents, especially Arizona and San Diego, know the Dodgers bullpen can be knocked around, so they have confidence in every game and reach because the Dodgers can get got late in games. I wonder if Hudson makes the playoff roster. That's a good question. My guess is yes, unless he actually is injured because he's not trustworthy without a lot of rest. Yes, but in the playoffs, I think he'll get a lot of rest because of the way the TV schedule works out. I think there's going to be more rest in a playoff scenario than there would be in a regular season. In the playoffs, you need guys who can pitch consecutive games multiple times. I would go on the opposite of that, Norm. I would say that it would be more conducive in the playoffs for a guy like a Daniel Hudson because the TV schedule spreads the games out a little bit more. So Craig Osterberg, I agree. Ben Casparius did great. NorCal Eddie, Dave managed to get 3 out of 4. Yes, I would agree. He saved the pin, and now all hands on deck for tomorrow. Great take. And I think Dave Roberts has been spot on this entire series. I went in depth on that yesterday morning, and I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that disagreed with a lot of what I said. That's fine. That's what makes America go around, right? And that is simply fantastic. But I gave my thoughts. I think Dave Roberts has done a great job. The Dodgers have Cleveland next, so they can't empty the bullpen tank tomorrow, especially when Buehler and Miller start against Cleveland, and they can often go only 3 or 4 innings. I think if the Dodgers are in position to win tomorrow, they fire every bullet that they have. Winning 3 out of 4 against Arizona and moving that lead up to 6 is more important than anything you could do against Cleveland, because even if you lose to Cleveland, the Diamondbacks might lose 1 or 2 of the games anyways. So let's say you get swept by Cleveland and the Diamondbacks win 2 out of 3. Your lead would still be 4. So, I mean, that's a good trade-off. Whereas if you lose tomorrow, your lead is 4, right? So, I mean, I think if you have a chance to win tomorrow, that's a 2-game swing. You do everything you do everything that you can to win tomorrow's game. Hey, Ran Matendo 77, haven't gotten the daily call. Fire Dave Roberts yet. Yeah, I think everybody, if you follow Dodgers Daily much, I think you know that we disagree with, I won't say quite a bit of the decisions that Dave Roberts make, and whenever he has it, it's like the pinch hitting. I put out a post the other day. I mean, Kike Hernandez is hitting a little over 100 in pinch hitting roles. Stop pinch hitting for Max Muncy. Don't do that. I mean, I can't have your back on that. It's just a stupid move, in my opinion. But as far as the pitching decisions, that a lot of them I disagree with. I have learned through the years that I've gone, what in the hell are we doing? And the next thing you know, it works. And I've learned that's happened way more times than it hasn't. So I've learned just to chill and wait and see how things go and see the patterns of things. And I've also learned that he's right a lot more than he's wrong. So I defend him quite a bit, and I think there's good reason to do that, and that's because I think he does a good job. Do you think Rushing will be called up? I don't have any feel for that. My guess is no. I think the guy that'll get called up is Andy Pages. Andy Pages, because you get one pitcher and one catcher. I think that one pitcher and one position player. I think the position player would be Andy Pages. That would be my guess. I think it would be self-destructive to put Buehler and Miller on the playoff roster. The bar is set so low for them. Fans are throwing crumbs, are hailing crumbs of improvement. They are way too risky for the playoffs. I guess my question to that would be then, who would you replace them with? If Yamamoto and Glasnow are not healthy, who would be your starters other than, if you're not going to put either Buehler or Miller on the playoff roster and Yamamoto and Glasnow aren't available, then who would it be? So that would be my question. Hey, by the way, today down on the farm, how about this? James Outman, they just had a baby, him and his wife did, and today for Oklahoma City, he actually had 4 hits. So James Outman, here's actually an outfield assist from him, but we're going to get to some action from James Outman right here. 4 hits for James Outman today. How about that? That's fantastic. He scored 2 runs, and he had 3 RBIs as well. Alex Freeland had a couple of RBIs for AAA Oklahoma City, and Diego Cartaya also had a couple of RBIs as well. Edgardo Henriquez, he threw another scoreless inning for AAA Oklahoma City, and I know I covered this yesterday on the show, but I'll say it again. Nobody is higher on Edgardo Henriquez than I am. But, hey, they brought up Brent Honeywell, Ben Casparius. I think there's other guys they would bring up ahead of Edgardo Henriquez, and I told you the reasoning why. And actually, I don't think I need to flip that over right there. I told you the reasons why I think that would be the case. You didn't see any of the James Outman video. I apologize for that. But there is Edgardo Henriquez, and those would be the reasons why I don't think you would see him get called. And if he does, he does. I hope he does. And if he does, that means the Dodgers pitching brass feels like he's ready to get called up, and nobody would be more excited about that than I would. Hey, another guy that threw a scoreless inning today, I had a chance to talk to him about a month and a half ago. Really, really good arm. Former position player, so he's a great athlete. Great movement on his fastball, and that would be Sauron Lau. So super excited about Sauron Lau and the work that he is doing for AAA Oklahoma City, because he is very talented, and he is, I think next year will be where the rubber meets the road for him, because I think that next year the Dodgers are going to give him a really good look in terms of him making his major league debut, because I know for a fact they're very high on him. And then how about Jose Hernandez, who threw a scoreless inning today for AAA Oklahoma City? This is a young man, if you remember, in 2022, he was the Midwest League leader in saves for High A Great Lakes. He hit 99 miles an hour in his first outing with AA Tulsa. He was absolutely rocking it. And then after the 2022 season, to many people's surprise, he got elected by the Pittsburgh Pirates in the Rule 5 draft. Went to Pittsburgh, just did not develop. I mean, the developmental system in Pittsburgh just did him absolutely no favors. And so actually he got released, and now he is back with the Dodgers, like the Dodgers do quite a bit. They go back and get players that they've had before that they know they can fix, and the Dodgers have definitely done that. They immediately put Jose Hernandez on the developmental list, and then they worked out some kinks, and now here he is back with AAA Oklahoma City. Also, Kevin Gowdy, a young man I think will make his major league debut next year, also threw a scoreless inning for AAA Oklahoma City and had a really, really nice outing for them. I love the sinker. That's about 94, 95, 96 for them because it's a really good pitch. That one right there, that turns right for Kevin Gowdy. So he also had a scoreless outing. So James Outman had 4 hits today, and you had some really good pitching. And then for AA Tulsa, it has been an absolute struggle. I mean, just a big-time struggle. They have a losing record by quite a bit. And really the highlight for today was this guy, Chris Newell. He hit a home run for AA Tulsa. But even that highlight kind of has a little bit of a negative tint to it, because Chris Newell, at the same time, he had 3 RBIs with his home run. He's hitting 161 OPS, 504. So it's been a struggle for him at the AA level. Again, I think that's because of the swing and miss. I think until he lowers the swing and miss, there's going to be some inconsistencies. Carlos Duran, who we've talked about quite a bit, got the start today. Hey, he's probably wearing down a little bit off the Tommy John. Gave up 4 runs today. Nothing to worry about. Again, kind of like we talked about with Wrobleski, there's going to be some ups and downs when you're in that situation. Today was a down. He has had a really good year to this point. So nothing to worry about with Carlos Duran. And then I think probably the highlight of the day today was Ronan Kopp, who had a really nice outing. And Ronan Kopp has been pitching really well lately. He has his ERA under 4 for the first time in a long time. And check this out. He went 2 scoreless innings, had 4 strikeouts, and this is the big one, no walks. When Ronan Kopp is not walking anybody, he's tough, because you see that big leg kick? If he's walking people, they're going to steal second base on that leg kick. So he cannot afford to give free baseball in any way, shape, or form. And he did not today by going 2 innings and not giving up any walks. And when he doesn't give up walks, he just simply does not give up runs, because he's very difficult to hit. So it kind of takes some free baseball for the other team to hurt him on a consistent level, and he did not give that out today. The highlight for Great Lakes, who, for all intents and purposes, their season was put to rest on Friday night whenever they lost in extra innings to South Bend. That pretty much ended their season, so they are not going to make the playoffs. They lost again today. They're losing right now at the end of the 8th, but definitely the highlight of that game is this young man right here, and that is Josue De Paula, who has 3 hits today to move his average up to 237. So it's good to see Josue De Paula get into the 3-hit category. And then Juan Alonso, who just got called up recently from Rancho Cucamonga, he actually has a couple of hits today as well. And then Jose Rodriguez who's had a really good year this year. His ERA is down to 2.52. He's done a great job on the bump this year. He had a good start today, and he actually went 4 innings, had 4 strikeouts. This is a guy, Jose Rodriguez, that strikes out everybody. That big old leg kick, he just kind of shows you his back pocket as a hitter. So he had 4 strikeouts today, 2 walks. Again, walks could be a problem for him every once in a while. But hey, only 2 hits, 1 run in 4 innings for him. So a great outing for Jose Rodriguez. And then down at the single A level, Zaire Hope, who has been, this is his second back-to-back, this is his second back-to-back game where he has multiple hits for Rancho Cucamonga. So Zaire Hope is hitting the ball very well right now. We know he can hit tanks, but that one right there, I love that opposite field hit for Zaire Hope. I love how he can stay inside the ball and hit the ball the other way. But the thing about him, it's not going to be about him hitting the other way. It's going to be about how hard Zaire Hope can hit the ball, and he definitely can hit the ball very well. Had 2 hits today for Rancho. Wilman Diaz also had a couple of hits, and then Luke Fox got the start today. Had a chance to communicate with Fox about 2 weeks ago. This is a young man out of Duke University who I asked him point blank, and I said, hey, don't respond if you don't feel comfortable. What's up with only throwing 2 innings at a time as a starter? And he said, just playing it safe. He's dealt with injuries in the past, and so just kind of limiting it to the end of this year so nothing gets out of the ordinary, and you can just kind of ride into the offseason with full health. So that's pretty much the story of the action down on the farm today as far as the Dodgers go. And so that was your action from down on the farm. So hope you enjoyed that. Outman definitely needs to cut down on some excessive strikeouts. He was terrible on his return stint this season. Yes, he did not perform whatsoever. I will say this, I said this many times, 36 games like you saw with Corbin Carroll is not enough, but I will say I don't have any problem with Tommy Edman and Kevin Kiermaier. I think that's fantastic, and I want the Dodgers to win a World Series. James Outman, this is all I'm saying. I still think he has a great Major League future ahead of him. He will continue to grind. He is an elite worker, and so I would just warn you not to give up on him in any way, shape, or form. So I was a little surprised that Ferris struggled yesterday. He couldn't get out of the first. Hopefully that's an outlier. Yeah, I do not believe Kershaw should be starting in the playoffs. He has very little margin for error in the playoffs. And then we have a question. Are you surprised Hope hasn't been promoted? I thought they would move him to Great Lakes by now. No, because he's only been back for like a week or two off of injury. He spent a long period of time on the injured list, and I think that's the reason why he hasn't been moved up. So, hey, that is about all I've got for you tonight. That is my show on the Dodgers. It is Labor Day weekend. Austin, I believe, will be going live with you tomorrow night. But other than that, I am going to get off the air, and my wife and I are going to try to find a movie. My dogs, we're going to try to keep them sane as we try to find a movie. My wonderful bride of 25 years, and we are going to go finish our Labor Day weekend in style. So, hey, I hope all of you guys and gals out there also have a wonderful, wonderful Labor Day weekend. And so till next time, until I see you Tuesday morning, I want to say thank you for tuning in, and it's a great day to be a Dodger.